A former Los Angeles Police Department detective is awarded $50,000 as part of a settlement with the city. Frank Lyga alleges he lost his job after being wrongfully perceived to be racist. This is the same man that shot and killed fellow LAPD officer Kevin Gaines, who is black, in 1997. Lyga was found to be acting in self-defense during a road rage confrontation and claimed he didn't know Gaines was a cop. Oh, that makes it okay. Okay, during a training seminar 16 years later, Lyga was recorded making racist comments and even jokes about shooting Gaines.
Carl Douglas hit me up. He goes, did you intend to shoot him? I said, I hit him, didn't I? He goes, well, it wasn't an accident. No, it wasn't an accident. He goes, do you have any regrets? I says, yeah. And he leans forward again. He goes, you regret shooting him? I says, no, I regret that he was alone in the truck at the time. Figure that one out. You know, they didn't hear that? Alone in the truck at the time. I could have killed a whole truckload of them. And would have been happily doing so.
The 28-year veteran retired rather than be fired when the full recording was released to the public in 2014. Under terms of the agreement, the city admitted no past or present wrongdoing. Joining us via Skype from Los Angeles to discuss the case is TV radio personality, social issues commentator, Jasmyne Cannick. Hi, Jasmyne. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Every time I hear that, it just makes me cringe. He could have killed a whole truckload of them. Oh, my goodness.
I know. That is horrible. And still on the panel today is Will Jawando, Angela Peoples, and John Burnett. Now, first going to you out in L.A., Jasmyne, you know, how long did it take for you guys to finally be able to push this through? I feel like the wheels of justice always turn so slowly with this. How long did it take to actually push this man out of his position as a police officer?
Let me tell you, as someone who broke this story back in, I think it was late 2013, early 2014, with the help of the officer who happened to be in that seminar and recorded it, I take a certain sense of pleasure and pride in the fact that Frank Lyga is a former detective of the LAPD. It took about 2 years. What I think shocked people the most was the fact that he had the audacity to sue the city for reverse discrimination, asking for $300,000 back pay, front pay, and wanting his job back. And so what happened last week was, you know, look, we'll just give you $50,000. Let's make this go away. A lot of people, including Kevin Gaines' family, and for people who don't know, that was the tip of the Rampart scandal. That killing of Kevin Gaines, if people know their LAPD history, Rampart broke wide open right after that. And so you're looking at the Rampart scandal, the Biggie Smalls murder, you know, the Tupac murder, all of this stuff is in some way connected. And for this man to have admitted that he took some sort of joy in killing this man, but also he admits that he knew who knew Kevin Gaines was before the shooting, but during the investigation, he said that he did not know who he was. So I know there are members of the Kevin Gaines family who really want our district attorney here in LA to re-look at this and reinvestigate this, because there is no statute of limitations on murder.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you for what you've done. It's a horrible, horrible thing. I just gave a speech last week to the National Black Police Association and talked about this, and you saw the police chief in Dallas talk about walking this line of being a black police officer. When you take off the uniform, you're seen as a black man, and it can be deadly. I mean, no one is immune to the racism that's endemic in this country and in some police officers across the country. And the fact that we would settle, I'm a lawyer, I know you got to settle sometimes, but the fact that this guy got rewarded,
paid,
you know, for killing a fellow officer is just horrible. But thank God he's not on the force.
I mean, it's really like rubbing salt into a wound. Here's the thing that I think that we don't talk about enough in this country. There is racism in police departments. Yes. In 2006, the FBI released a report that talked about the increasing funneling of white supremacists in police departments. Yeah. What better job to have if you want to be able to kill black people and get away with it than to be a policeman? This is a prime example of someone who should never have had the authority to be able to use deadly force. And now he's getting paid for it? I mean, what are your thoughts about what we need to do to root this out?
I mean, I think that it goes back to the root of policing in our country in general was the police force started off as slave catchers, right? And
exactly.
so if we think about it, it's not a far leap to see why someone like this officer would be in the police force and have these same sort of attitudes. My thing is, I'm interested in not just what was said in that training, but the other folks in and around that training, right? We
Yes.
talk about, there's just some bad apples, some bad police officers. Some of them are racist, some of them are not. Some need, access to mental health care or whatever. But what about all of the officers who are supposed to be the good officers that are sitting in this training? Thankfully, one of them came forward and was recording. What about the rest of those people that don't say, hey, don't even interrupt what he's speaking on to address this culture and this comment of violence and vitriol and hate and racism in the police force. So where are those folks? Where is that intervention happening?
Absolutely. I'm going to go to Jasmyne and I'll come right back to you. Sure. Okay. Jasmyne, what's your response to that? And also, I'm interested in learning what happened to the policeman who leaked that tape. We know there's a long history of when policemen actually do come out and report an officer who's doing something wrong, that person then is under attack. What happened in this case?
A complaint was filed. I'll start with the latter. A complaint was filed against that officer, so he's dealing with that issue right now. We'll see what becomes of that. I will say that I believe complaints were also generated against all of the other people who were also sworn officers who sat in that seminar and just laughed. And I mean, what you played was just the tip of the iceberg in terms of that audio. People really should go online, go to jasmyneonline.com and listen to the entire 26-minute audio. He disparages Johnny Cochran. He disparages famed attorney Carl Douglas, and goes on and on and on. And thirdly, I would have to also say this. When you talk about rooting out racism in police departments, that is one of the things that our chief, Charlie Beck here, loves to get in front of the cameras and talk about. Well, let me tell you something. When you have an officer like Frank Lyga, you make a part of their plea deal or their settlement rather, mandatory resignation.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
You do those things. We had a recent situation where we had another bad cop, and so it's a lot of the same here in Los Angeles. I'm really happy that finally people have really begun to pick up on this story, and I'm hopeful, along with the Gaines family, that maybe someone will look into what exactly happened in 1997 to Kevin Gaines.
Yes. And final thoughts? I
agree with Jasmyne, but except for one thing. I think that instead of mandatory resignation, it just should be outright firing, period, with no compensation whatsoever. I think I agree with everything that everyone else has said so far. I think in order to change the culture, it has to come from within.
Absolutely.
Good cops have to be protected. In the corporate world, we have a whistleblower's protection. Yeah. Something comparable needs to be done in the police department. Law enforcement throughout this entire country, especially in this type of climate, says if you see something, say something. So that same thing should be on the other side of the wall. The best people that are in position to root out the 1%, 5% cops, whatever you want to call it, because the majority are good cops and risk their lives every day, but to catch that small percentage that's really creating havoc for everyone else, we need the good cops to stand up, and we need to protect them on the other side of the blue wall.
Well, I just think, I'm sorry, we're totally out of time. I would just say that, to me, good cops, you need to be able to stand up for me to be able to call you a good cop, okay? Jasmyne, thank you so much for joining us from Los Angeles. Thanks for getting up this early, too. Coming up in today's Wealthy Youth segment, America's Wealth Coach gives us timely advice to help us decide if now is the time to refinance our homes. Pop culture expert and TV personality Juan Murray fills me in on what it was like to attend the Olympic Games in Rio. For the latest, stay up to date and informed at newsone.com, and hit me up with your thoughts on Twitter at Sister Scholar or on News One or on our News One Facebook page. It's 37 minutes after the hour. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jose Antonio Vargas. I'm founder and editor of EmergingUs.com. You only have one vote. Use it.